Hello everyone, I'm Ketuse Nyopeho, psychologist working under District Mental Health Program Kohima. In my previous session, I couldn't complete some few topics on childhood disorder because of time constraint. So I'll just quickly sum up some few points and we'll move on to my next topic. So in my previous session, we have discussed about developmental disorders like ADHD, learning disability, intellectual disabilities, autism, and we have also learned that adolescence is the time period between 12 years to 19 or 20 years. So if adolescents have been receiving poor school academic grades or performing poorly at school, it can be because of various factors like family environment or the school environment, gender role, personality influences, etc. So because the signs and symptoms of developmental disorders can be seen during the early stage of childhood, and so it is important to recognize or notice the signs and symptoms of developmental disorders during the early period of childhood. Um, so in order to identify the signs and symptoms of the child or adolescent, we should see whether there is any changes in the child's behavior or feelings, if the child has been withdrawn himself or herself in any social activities, or being fearful and anxious, or upset most of the time, or difficulty in paying attention and concentrating, or difficulty following instructions, or managing anger and frustration. We should consider all these behaviors in a child to figure out the reason or causes for the poor performances at school. Um, we also receive students referred by the teachers or sometimes the parents for academic assessment. So it is important to observe the child doing several different activities or environment, like at school, at home, or in any other social environment or gatherings, and note down their behaviors which can be noticeable, or if there is any problem behavior, so that you can discuss it with the teachers or supervisors or professionals, and assess the child at the right time. Um, a child's feeling and behavior are affected or influenced by their temperaments, their personalities, their relationships, health, or family background, or experiences of early childhood. So every child is unique in their own way, and the way they portray their behavior or feelings can be different from one child to the other. So if you see any changes in a child's behavior, it is important to talk with your supervisors and get the assessment. So district mental health program services are available in 5 districts in Nagaland, so you can always contact us and get your child assessed. Coming to today's session, we will discuss about myths and stigmas that are attached with mental illnesses. Um, please refer to my previous session to get an understanding about mental health and mental illnesses. We have discussed that mental health is about our feelings, our mood, and our emotions, and every one of us experience negative and positive emotions. So it is not just about feeling happy all of the time. And experiencing or having positive thoughts all of the time. We all have our own mental health, and mental illnesses is a change in an individual's way of thinking, changes in our cognitive functioning, or emotions and behavior. And there are different types of mental illnesses like depression, anxiety disorder, schizophrenia, mood disorders, etc. And mental illness can affect every one of us in some way, and we are likely to know someone who is going through mental illnesses or have gone through any type of mental illnesses. But still there are Many hurtful attitudes and negative attitudes towards mental illnesses that can trigger or fuel stigma and discrimination in our community and make it harder to reach out for help. So let's discuss some myths about of mental illnesses. Firstly, mental illnesses aren't real illnesses. Now, this statement is completely false because mental illnesses is a complex interplay of our genetics, biological factors, environmental factors, and psychological factors that can cause mental illnesses and can be treated with proper and timely treatment. So for example, when someone breaks their arm or hand, we wouldn't ask them to just go get over with it. We will ask them to seek for professional help to fix their arm. So it is just as physical illnesses. Even mental illnesses can be treated, and therefore it is a real and a medical illness. The second myth is people with mental illnesses are violent and dangerous. Now, although people with mental illnesses can be or perceived as dangerous or difficult to talk or unpredictable, it can be true in some way, but in most cases, mentally ill people rarely commit any serious crimes. In fact, it is the other way around. They are a much greater risk of becoming victims of crime. The next myth is people don't recover from mental illnesses. This is also a false statement because mental illnesses are highly treatable and they can go on with their life and have a productive life. The next myth is children can't have a mental illness like depression. Those are adult problems. Now, in children, the symptoms and signs can be a bit different from adult individuals who are suffering with mental illnesses because usually children rarely express their feelings and emotions, and they lack the verbal skills to express their feelings and emotions, but 70% of mental health problems have their onset, or the signs and symptoms can be seen during the early stages of childhood and adolescence. So even children and adolescents experience mental illnesses like depression or anxiety, though they can portray it in a different way. Next one is mental illnesses will never affect me. This is also a false statement because all of us can be affected by mental illnesses at some point of our life, depending on the situation or environment and depending on how well we cope up with the normal stresses in our life. Next is mentally ill patients belong to hospitals. Excuse me. This is a false statement because majority of persons with mental illnesses can be treated outside of the hospital or can be treated as outpatient or in a primary care settings. Only those with acute or severe mental illnesses will require hospitalization, just as how physical illnesses are. Next is attempting suicide is a sign of cowardice or weakness. Now, suicide is usually connected with mental illnesses, or people with severe mental illnesses can have suicidal ideations or thoughts, and it is a sign of unrelenting pain or severe pain and sign of hopelessness, but it is definitely not because they are weak. Next is mental health disorders are a result of bad parenting. Now, bad parenting does not lead to mental illnesses, though it can have some effect on someone's mental health. It is not the core cause of mental illnesses. So these myths and many more myths exclude people with mental illnesses from our community, and it can create barriers to our well-being. So in order to reduce this impact of mental illnesses in our community, we need to firstly learn the facts about mental health or mental illnesses and start with our own assumptions and behaviors. Now let's talk about stigmas attached with mental illnesses. So stigma is a sign of disgrace or dishonor that separates a person from others. Stigma could arise from a number of factors such as superstition, lack of knowledge, ignorance, or our belief systems and fear. And for example, when an individual is going through mental illnesses, we usually label them as dangerous or crazy or incompetent rather than unwell, right? So these stigmas can create a barrier to seek for professional help. So if we have internalized stigma or self-stigma, we might want to withdraw ourselves from social activities, or we might develop low self-esteem or substance use in some cases, and failure to maintain healthy relationship with people around us. There is also public stigma or externalized stigma, where failure to maintain healthy or meaningful relationship can be affected, and it will lead to, or it will enable people to live a quality of life and prevent us from seeking professional help. So let's decrease this stigma that is attached with mental health or mental illnesses by educating ourselves with mental health or illnesses, and by talking openly about mental health, talk about the recovery journeys or the experiences that we had with mental illnesses, so that we can also help other people, and be kind and supportive of one another, and show compassion, especially with people who might be going through a difficult time. And also, very importantly, be mindful about the words that we use. Insensitive words such as insane or mad people or crazy or psycho. So if your feelings are getting too big to cope up with your own, it is important to talk to someone you trust, because it will definitely help you and improve your mental health. Mental health can affect our physical health and vice versa. Our physical health can also affect our physical health. So for example, if someone is diagnosed with cancer, there is a high chance that their mental health will be affected because of excessive worry or stress or anxiety or uncertainty about the illness. And in conclusion, I would like to say that it is important to identify the signs and symptoms at the earliest and seek for professional help, because collective health condition does not solely rely on our physical health or spiritual health, but also on our mental health. So let's all come together to break the stigma of mental illnesses and seek for professional help. Thank you.